And welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. I'd also like to welcome those viewers who are watching the meeting via the live stream at home. Now, if I could ask you, please, if you could be upstanding, and Deputy Mayor Migdale, if you could read out the opening prayer.
Almighty God, we ask you to guide us in all our discussions, to show goodness, honesty, understanding and wisdom in all that we undertake to do. May we respect each other's views at all times, and we ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Councillor Kristovich, could you please read the acknowledgement of country?
On behalf of councillors, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, on which this meeting is taking place, and show our respect to elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you. You can take your seats. Without prior approval, any recording of this meeting is prohibited. No action should be taken on any resolution or council prior to written advice from the city being received. Item 1 of tonight is the official opening. Ladies and gentlemen, I declare the meeting of the 26th of March 24 open at 6:30 p.m. Tonight we have apologies from Councillor Teresa Olo, and on behalf of Council, we wish her all the best in convalescing. She's given herself an injury on her arm, so we wish her all the best and speedy recovery. Item 3, approved leave of absence. I have nil. 4, disclosure of interest. There were 3 disclosures from the Community and Resources Committee meeting held on the 19th of March 24, which are behind me on the screen and also listed in tonight's agenda. Councillors, are there any other disclosures you wish to put forward at the moment? Not at the moment. Thank you. 5 petitions, I have nil. 6 responses to previous questions from members of the public taken on notice, and those PQTs are published in the minutes of that meeting. Brings us to public question time. Nice and quick, and we'll get you up, Mr. Mitchell, if you'd like to come and start us off. Thank you, Mr.
Good evening, Mayor. Robert Mitchell, Karrinyup. Good evening, councillors, council officers, people in the gallery. I have 3 questions tonight. And my first one is in relation to the business of hiring equipment and at the Scarborough Beach. And I said recently the council have made decisions to embark on and allow the operation of beach and surfing equipment hire, and are in the throes of seeking a lockers hire operator. In amongst that is the use of fixed binoculars along the pathway of the ocean front. This has been born from a move by ex-councillor Felicity Farrelly. Many others of these type of beach provisions and facilities and promoted have been enunciated by Ms Farrelly to enhance the beach experience. As this establishment of fixed binoculars between Waterman and Scarborough, currently in its embryo stage, installing one to gauge the interest, I would like to go on record to suggest that along with other hire equipment for a beach experience, that hiring of binoculars also be considered. That way people can share binoculars at any point or place along the entire coastal environment. To provide static on-stand binoculars along the pathways for viewing the ocean and surrounds has the risk to equipment of vandalism and misuse. May I suggest these considerations be discussed before any final decision? Please confirm that the risk management is or will be discussed regarding this venture and confirmation of this venture.
Thank you for those comments and that question, Mr. Mitchell. I can confirm that Council did endorse 1 binocular as a trial to be installed along the coastline. It was only 1. It's significantly different than the ones that would be portable, but we can certainly suggest to the hirers. So those public hiring ventures down at Scarborough currently are privately run businesses, and we're happy to put your suggestion through to them and suggest that they also have binoculars as part of that.
Thank you, Mayor. Enterprises at Scarborough should all be on private enterprise. I don't believe the local government should be involved in hiring things. Thank you. My next question. Information previously I have raised concerns about the City of Stirling's lack of response to making sure fire breaks and cleaning of grass, especially long grass, on council property. For 3 years, I have noted and contacted the City of Stirling regarding the fire breaks not being established within the statutory time frame by the end of November each year. 2023, I did lose my cool about having to notify that it needs doing. Currently, I'm in the throes of not being able to ring the council officers. I suppose basically because I emanate bad news. What happened 2 or 3 weeks later when council officers said they would get around to it? They eventually did. Then down the road, at the end of Pascoe Street in Gwelup, and on television, in the bush adjacent to Spider Lily Lane, a roaring bushfire recently. I saw on television, live as narrated by a neighbour, fighting the fire in another neighbour's backyard with a garden hose. Apparently the owner was not home. The fire appeared very close to the brick fence of the property. Was there a fire break established there?
Thank you for that question.
Considering that the issue of the locked stormwater pump on the corner of Clement Drive and Pascoe Street fenced off and locked, seeing on television what happened there in Spider Lily Lane shocked me. The responsible people could be so complacent. Please ensure these matters receive the highest risk management. Confirm such in minutes of this meeting. Also, the signage between Clement Drive Pascoe Street intersection and the Francis Avenue Pascoe intersection, Northern Verge has reinstated no parking on the Verge and street reinstalled. There also is a dead tree. Could these be replaced, please? Thank you.
Thank you for. There's quite a few things in there, Mr. Mitchell. The first one is, as I'm aware, you are welcome to call the city. You are able to call the city, and I think you've had a meeting with the CEO and a director regarding that. So you're welcome to call the city. On the fire break, we'll get back to you in writing. Obviously, the fire break wasn't the initial reason for the fire you're talking about, but we're happy to talk to our bushfire officer, and there is obviously a management plan, and we'll provide you advice in writing that there was or wasn't a fire break installed on that, and we'll take your other items regarding the parking and the tree on notice and provide you a response on those.
Yeah. It's been a disgrace for years. And just as a by, many years ago, when there was corruption in the council, I received from an officer of the council a letter to say that 500 square metres of grass stolons had been planted there. And at the time,
Thanks,
the Director
Mr.
of
Mitchell,
Infrastructure...
Thanks, Mr. Mitchell. But if we can get on to the third question.
Yeah, all right. When did the City of Stirling have a full independent functional review of the council and council administration into day labour works? Please provide exact date where, and I can reference the report and any collusions or recommendations made and implemented.
Thank you for that question. Ms Walsencroft? No? Mr Roddick?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks for the question, Mr Mitchell. The City of Stirling has had independent reviews conducted in 2015 and during the 2020-21 period. The results of these reviews were provided on a confidential basis to the City's Audit Committee as there are employee impacts. As part of the integrated planning and budget process and in line with best practice, the City conducts annual reviews of all of its services to improve effectiveness and efficiency each year. The outcomes of any independent reviews and the annual process are reflected in the City's corporate business plan and within the annual report.
Thank you, Mr. Roddick. Can I have references so I can look at them from when they came
Yes.
before the council?
Yes, we'll provide you that in writing, Mr.
I'll get that in writing. Thanks very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. Kieran Kelly, we'll get you to head up. Name and suburb.
Kieran
Welcome.
Kelly, Scarborough. As you're aware, a 12-storey development was approved for 194 The Esplanade in Scarborough. This site sits within the Scarborough redevelopment precinct and is now transferred to the City of Stirling under the normalisation process. Within this scheme, the site was gazetted an 8-storey limit. This site was also permitted a bonus height of up to another 4 storeys if there was significant community benefit shown, such as but not limited to commercial tenancies, a minimum 3-star hotel, higher Green Star building practices and affordable living. The building approval was rejected by 80% of the respondents during the public consultation, but supported by the council officers and publicly supported by the Deputy Mayor. My question is, can the council explain to me what were the community benefits put forward by the developer to gain the extra 4 storeys in bonus height afforded to them?
Thank you, Ms Shears.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Mr Kelly, for your question. You're correct, that site is 8 storeys and permissible up to 12 if it achieves design excellence and one of the criteria that you mentioned. So I'm happy to provide you some more detail in terms of this specific development as to what it achieved to achieve that approval. I can also confirm that it is required to pay an art contribution and a contribution towards a developer contribution plan for Scarborough as well.
Right. Okay, I think we need to know what community benefit is, really. My second question is not about Scarborough, but it's about street trees, one of my other passions. Some time ago, I asked a question on the cost of planting for street trees and maintenance for 2 years. From memory, the figure was approximately $680 per tree. Can the council let me know what percentage of trees or number of trees that are planted and then replanted due to death within that 2-year maintenance period?
Thank you, and we're happy to get you that. We'll respond to you in writing though, Mr Kelly, to give you the right answer on that one.
Only 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Roland Hadley.
Good evening, Roland Hadley, Woodlands. To date, I have not yet received a copy of the Strategic Community Plan, Sustainable Stirling 22-23, which includes the city values: approachable, responsive, transparent and innovative, together with the elected member code of conduct, despite what the minutes say on the 27th of February.
Thank you. Mr Roddick.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Mr Hadley, I'll make sure that you're provided with that information before lunchtime tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much. Similarly, our members remain waiting for the written evidence that Carnduff Library is the most populous in the Southern Hemisphere, a claim made by Mayor Irwin on the 21st November, and the minutes recording that a written reply would be supplied. When exactly?
Likewise, we'll ensure you get that tomorrow. I apologise if you haven't received that.
Thank you. Also on the 21st of November 23, no written reply has been provided to my question: how much time and money has been wasted on fencing, lighting, security, realignment of roads and curbs, resurfacing of roads and car parks, cost of events, advertising, publications, overseas travel and accommodation, videos, symposium costs. The Mayor stated a written response will be provided according to the minutes of the 21st November. We are now approaching the end of March, Mr. Mayor. Is it your intention to ever disclose this information now or not?
Thank you, Mr. Roddick.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Hadley, if you had a look at your emails this afternoon, the Manager of Strategy and Performance did provide you with a brief update, and you will be provided all those estimated costs of the trial by the end of next week. So, look, you probably haven't had time to read your email, but it is there, and we'll make sure that we get that information out to you.
I'm pleased to say that that includes the symposium and the trial as well. I appreciate it. Thank you. Question 2. Even though the long-awaited report on the trackless tram project, trial and symposium has not been published, the Mayor Irwin continually repeats both verbally and in the city's publications that it was successful. We ask, therefore, Mayor Irwin, are you privy to information that is not yet available to ratepayers, or is this just another attempted spin?
Thank you. No,
If this trackless tram project is deemed successful, when will ratepayers see the construction of 13 platforms along Scarborough Beach Road and 500 passengers arriving in your beloved Scarborough every 15 minutes?
well, soon enough, hopefully, Mr. Hadley. I'm happy to provide you with the survey results that was based. Those comments were based on.
Thank you. The trackless tram report was due for release in late November 23. Some may suggest that the delay and deferment to the end of the financial year is a deliberate act by the Council, hoping that ratepayers may have forgotten about the fiasco. We wonder if the Mayor will present this report with as much gusto, fanfare as he did when promoting this trackless tram project. I also, on behalf of members of the Ewan Street Community Group, ask who is paying for the printing of this report, or will ratepayers have to wait until the end of the financial year to find out this information? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. I guarantee I'll present it with gusto when it's ready. Now, I've got no one else. Mr. Wheeler? Being sneaky, Mr. Wheeler, not putting your name down.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. I thought I might have stage fright or something. Simon Wheeler in Scarborough, Mayor Irwin. No, it's just in response to Mr. Hadley was just saying, because I asked the very same question, I think it was before the electors' meeting, about the costs so far to Stirling ratepayers of the trackless tram project. But my first question will be, what would you envisage as being a success? Because you're always saying what a success it's been. How is that defined?
Thank you. I'm happy to respond to you in writing rather than go through it tonight, but I think it's been clear that there was very much a huge public interest. There was also a very significant interest from related parties around Australia, including state government bodies. Just about every state was represented in terms of their interest in the project. Obviously, Curtin University and the scientific bodies from Western Australia and state government departments here. So it was well received. The symposium was well attended, and the survey results of that showed that everyone thought it was a success. And we had hundreds and hundreds of people from the public trial it and give us their feedback on what they thought about it, and that was a success as well.
Okay, I don't remember the Transport Minister's comments being in line with what you've just said about this state government, but anyway, we'll see how that goes.
I didn't mention the Transport Minister.
But yeah, so I did get an answer last time about the costs of the tram today, and basically it said nothing, hasn't cost anything. It's all
I just need a question, Mr. Wheeler. We can take this offline if you want to have a conversation with me.
This was part of the question. The question was, the response I got from the last meeting was that you haven't spent anything. It's all come from different grants. I don't believe that, Mayor, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to call you personally a liar, but I just cannot believe that. And the response says that you won't know what the success was until this report comes out in June or July or wherever it comes out. So is it unreasonable for us to be asking what money the city has spent on this project?
No, and that's been answered already tonight. Mr Roddick has already answered that in the previous question and said he will respond by the end of next week with those details.
Okay, thank you very much.
That brings us to the end of public question time. I now go to item 8, application for leave of absence. Councillors, are there any applications for leave of absence? Nil. Confirmation of minutes. Councillors, can I have a mover and a seconder to accept the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 12th of March? Move Councillor Hatton, seconded Councillor Ferrante. Just a show of hands for the minutes, please, councillors. That is unanimous. Thank you. I'll now go to item 10, announcements by the presiding member. And I'll ask Deputy Mayor Migdale if you'd like to read out your announcement for us.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I sure would. Council announcement this evening is that I am pleased to advise that the City of Stirling has once again achieved gold status in the annual Waterwise Council's accreditation in recognition of our progress on commitments outlined in our Waterwise Council Action Plan 2021 to 26. In 2023, the City was awarded as a Platinum Council, which is the highest honour possible in the Waterwise Council program. The City's return to gold status in 2024 will enable continued access to $10,000 per year to fund our Waterwise Plants giveaway for residents. In addition to this, to the free plants giveaway, the City has progressed our Waterwise Action Plan through the Sustainable Verge program, improvements to water monitoring and auditing, increased water efficiency in city buildings, and strengthening water requirements in city projects through a new environmentally sustainable design ESD management practice. The City's gold accreditation also means that the City is eligible for a $600,000 grant from the Department of Water and Environmental Regulation. This funding will assist the City in delivering a number of projects dedicated to minimising our impact on groundwater resources. I would like to congratulate the City's sustainability team members and employees involved in delivering the objectives of our Waterwise plans and for their commitment to managing, protecting and improving our natural environment.
Thank you, Deputy. Item 11 is unresolved business from previous meetings. We have nil. Now we'll move on to 12, which is our reports and recommendations from committee. Community and Resources committee item. Are there any items that you wish to be pulled out this evening? Councillor Ree.
Yes, please. May I have 12.1 F1, please?
Thank you. There's no other items to be pulled out. So I'll go to the Chair of the Committee, Councillor Perkoff, if you'd like to move the recommendation for 12.1 F1.
Sure would, Mr Mayor. I would like to move the recommendation of the committee on page 20, please.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Kristovich, are you opposed or do you have a question, Councillor Ree? What's your question?
With regard to, on page 22, the breakdown of the temporary labour, which was good to actually see once again, do we have a breakdown of actually why we're spending something like $319,000 on, which is 8 months worth, on parks and environment, and the $130,000 in financial services, please? Do we have a breakdown of why those huge amounts?
They're not that big, I wouldn't think. Ms Hawkins?
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Ree. And as the Mayor says, they're not that big overall. You'll see that the total of the agency is about 1.2% of our overall budget. With regards to the Parks and Environment, and Mr Murphy may want to add here, but the Parks and Environment Business Unit use agency staff as part of their broader resourcing. So employees, contractors and agency, which helps us manage peaks and troughs in terms of workload, and that seasonal workload. With regards to finance services, we actually have agency staff in there because we're currently implementing new solutions and systems. So we've held vacancies there while those systems are implemented because we're expecting efficiencies which would then impact on our FTE.
Thank you. Through you. So that's nearly $1 million an outside on agency staff we've paid for the last 8 months. So I just wondered whether or not does that equate to our employee turnover? Is that why we're having so many agency staff, because we don't have enough employees? We've got a turnover? I don't know. I can't remember what it is at this moment in time.
Yeah, I'll get Ms Hawkins to explain it, but no, some of it would be turnover, but some of it would just be vacancies or coming towards the end of contracts.
Through the Mayor, and yes, thank you. Yeah, so there's the element of vacancies, element of end of contracts, and then the other element is that seasonal variance, which is, I mean, particularly we've talked about Parks and Environment, but that's across the business as well, which helps us flex up and down as required.
Sorry, and on page, from around page 20, 23, etc., it's regard to the election payment. How come that was so late? I mean, the election was in October. Was there a glitch in the computer that's like, 5 months later? Normally it would have been done November at the latest. Was there?
Ms Hawkins?
Thank you, Mayor. And with regards to the payment to WAEC, do you mean, sorry, the election commission, the electoral commission?
To the electoral commission, but also to the candidates who successfully polled more than 4%. Usually it's done like within a month.
Thank you, through the Mayor. With regards to the electoral commission, that's purely when we received their invoice, Councillor Ree. So no, nothing, we didn't hold the invoice, that was just purely the dates. And in terms of processing, I think that's just in terms of the team working through that process to have those returned. I can check if that's different to normal and come back to you.
Thank you. Yes.
So does that mean that the actual bill, which don't have on me, but was, I think, 2 meetings ago, the actual bill for 800,000, 900,000 for the Electoral Commission, we paid that somewhere, like last month, this month, or we're going to pay it?
Mr Morby?
Can't remember where that is.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillor, I might have to come back to you on exactly when that payment was made. I can confirm in terms of the refund to candidates, about the $100 refund that candidates received, we take advice from the WAEC when we can provide that refund. But again, happy to provide you with some additional information offline about that.
Thank you. All right, if there's no one opposed to this, I will put that item. Move Councillor Perkoff, seconded Councillor Kristevich. Councillor Proud. Thank you, and that is unanimous. I'll now, Councillor Perkoff, ask you if you could please move the balance of the reports for the community resource.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to move the balance of reports for the remainder of the Community Resource Committee items. Thank you.
Thank you, and Councillor Proud has seconded that, so I'll put that to the vote. Thank you, and that is unanimous. So, members of the gallery, the remainder of the Community and Resource Committee recommendations have been adopted by exception resolution. Item 13, reports for consideration in accordance with section 4.24 of the Meeting Procedures Local Law, and we'll go to 13.1, 2024 International Conference Request, the Global Sustainable Development Congress. Is there a mover of a motion, please? Deputy Mayor Migdale is moving.
Yep, happy to move the recommendation.
Thank you. And Councillor Dudak has seconded. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. I will put that one to the vote. Thank you, and that is unanimous. Item 13.2, proposed roundabout Scarborough Beach Road and Green Street in Jundana. Do I have a mover of a motion? Councillor Thornton?
Yes, I'll move the amended recommendation on page whatever it is.
Thank you.
Sorry?
Thank you. Yeah, so it's an alternative, well, it's sort of an amendment, but it's just an alternative recommendation.
Oh, it's an alt rec, is it?
So exactly the same wording, same intent. It just removes the word that says subject to and says the city strongly recommends. So is there a second for that? Councillor Hatton has seconded that one. So same intent and same words apart from that word. Is anyone opposed to that one? If no one is opposed, I will put that one to the vote. We've just got Councillor Ferrante and Migdal. Thank you, and that is unanimous. Item 14.1, proposed notice of motion, councillor Perkov, road safety options. Over to you.
To move the suggested alt rec on page 65, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Hatton has seconded that. Is there anyone opposed to this one? Can I, with your indulgence, just ask a question on this? Obviously, we don't get this to come to committee. And I might ask through to Mr. Guillemot. My question is, when you read the options, one of them was regarding the green arrow, and it could be an option that could alleviate the problem. And it seems like this was brought to us by a councillor. It wasn't sort of alerted to us through statistics of being one of the most dangerous intersections. So to jump to black spot funding, does it mean that very significant problem intersections in the city will miss out on black spot funding if this one gets it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, effectively we're able, there's no cap on amount of black spot funding that we can apply for. The only, I guess, cap is the state government's budget, but generally there is no cap on the amount of funding that we apply for. So if we apply for this one, it won't be at the expense of another project.
Thank you. And just a follow-up question. So if black spot funding would be received, would it then be the options would come back on what treatment would be used out of those options? That's the plan? So you haven't got a preferred treatment at the moment?
No, we don't have a preferred treatment at the moment, but we couldn't apply for, we'd need to apply for a specific treatment. So that's why we've deferred, we've suggested deferral of the black spot submission until July 2025, because that'll give us the time to be able to investigate which option is the most feasible.
Right, thank you. That's all I had. So, Councillor Ree, is that a question or?
Well, question one, it was said 65, that's not what's on 65.
68.
So, well, anyway, Councillor Perkov said 65, but that's not 65. I'm just wondering, after what Mr. Jimoff said, that the city submits the application for funding for recommended treatment of the intersection of when we don't know, when he's actually said we don't know what the treatment will be. So wouldn't it have to come back to council or discuss somewhere or with the community what the treatment will be before we actually apply? Or are we just saying that we'll submit an application for funding and then they could say what it is, it's not what we want?
Yeah,
I think we're missing a couple of words or something.
No, I think we're all on the same page, but it's Mr. Guillemot's made it clear. That's why it's July 2025, so it's a significant amount of time away. So council would certainly have oversight and there'd be some consultation and a preferred option would be presented to us before you apply for it, because you have to apply. That was
Sure, you missed it. It doesn't actually say that. It doesn't say it comes back to council. It doesn't say public consultation. It doesn't say anything.
Mr. Guillemot, Councillor Ree would like to come and sit with you and rewrite this.
Is that a question?
Yeah. You heard the question.
Effectively, with black spot submissions, they're based on road safety and engineering grounds. So we generally apply for the position that provides the best impact. We have actually had, prior to this notice of motion, going back probably 12 months or so, we have had ongoing discussions with both ward councillors regarding this intersection. So while this notice of motion is new to council, it is an issue that we've been discussing with the ward councillors, and we'll continue to do that once we determine what the most appropriate solution is.
Thank you. So there's no one opposed to this, so we'll put that to the vote. Sorry, you are opposed? Are you opposed?
Oh, so yeah, draw.
All right. So I'll put that. So we're voting on this, yes? Yeah. Thank you. That is unanimous. Councillor Frandy's playing games with us, I think. Item 14.2, proposed notice of motion. Councillor Criado.
I would like to propose the alternative recommendation given on page 72,
Yep.
as it is here. Thank you.
Let's just get it up on the screen. So, which is it? Sorry, it
Just
was a,
as it is, all three.
yeah, but there's a suggested alternative recommendation underneath.
Oh,
It's now the same.
yeah, it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Councillor Corrado has moved that.
Yes. I
Yep.
know.
Councillor Dudak has seconded it. Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Ree? What's your question?
Well, I don't have any objection, and definitely needs to do something down there. Do we have the actual costing somewhere? Because in the financial, I don't think it actually really says who's going to pay what. So, or is that something to come back later?
I think it's fairly minor. Mr Quirk?
Through you, Mr Mayor, as we've clarified in the second recommendation, the excuse me, the required parking marshals and any temporary signage will be at the own cost of the mosque. The only cost that I suspect the city may incur is the patrols by community safety officers, but that is just normal business.
And a report will come back with the effectiveness of those in a short time anyway. All right, so there's no one opposed, so I will put that recommendation. Thank you, that's unanimous. Item 15, notice of motion for consideration at the next meeting. Councillors, do you have any motions? Councillor Thornton, we'll start with you.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I propose a notice of motion. Sent it in before.
Yep, do you want to read just the words out?
Yep, that the City of Stirling initiates the process to update the integrated cycling strategy to ensure it reflects current trends and needs in cycling infrastructure for our city.
Thank you. Councillor Papard, you had one?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. My motion on notice is that the Mayor writes to Main Roads and the relevant members of Parliament to request that the default speed limit on Marmion Avenue be returned to 80 kilometres an hour and that the subsequent changes should only occur after extensive community consultation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Migdale, this could be one on the fly. This always worries me. When you go back, it means there's a thought bubble.
Can't be on the fly if it's on the board, Mr Mayor.
Oh, okay, good.
And I would like to raise this at the next council meeting, that on all documentation to residents, which includes any levied costs, including increases which are to be paid to the state government, the wording clearly states that the payment is being collected by the local authority on behalf of the state government and will be paid to the state government.
Thank you. Going around the table, we get to Councillor Perkoff. Just your mic off over there, Councillor
Did you miss out, Councillor Francis? Sorry.
Councillor Papard, just your mic off.
Thank you, Mayor. That the City of Stirling formally recognises school students who receive Graduation Day Citizenship Awards with an annual event.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Is there any other notice of motions? No other indication. Thanks, councillors. Item 16 is questions by members, of which due notice has been given, and I have nil, and I have no urgent business. So I will go to 18 matters behind closed doors, and we have nil for that as well. That brings us to item 19, which is closure, and I declare the meeting closed at 7:08 p.m. Thank you, everyone. That was a quick one. Thank you to those members of the gallery who stayed, and good night to those viewers who have been watching at home. You're welcome.